it's Shelly, the Financepreneur, and welcome to another episode of the Financepreneur podcast, the podcast that is helping entrepreneurs become financially lit. All right, we're bringing financial literacy to the forefront, into the basics, and building strong foundations so that we can build big business, have massive success, and leave a legacy. So today, guess what I want to talk about? I want to talk about don't quit your day job. All right. Usually when you hear people say don't quit your day job, it's because you're doing something you don't know how. Like if I started singing right now, somebody might tell me, don't quit your day job, right? Because that's not for me. But in this case, our 9 to 5 is really going to help us. So in this episode, I'm talking to my side hustlers and my aspiring entrepreneurs, or that entrepreneur who hasn't really crossed all the way over on the other side of the threshold. And the reason why I say don't quit your day job is because you got to remember, if you are employed, somebody is paying you for the skills that you have. So what better place to learn how to do certain things except on somebody else's dime, right? So it's literally your training ground. It's literally the place where you say, every day I come here and I get to practice on how to have a good business. You get to, if you're not in management, you get to observe managers. Yes, I like the way they did this. No, I don't like the way they did that. I literally learned how to run my business from my job. From my very first job. My very first job at 16, first job where I clocked in at 16 was at Chili's, right? I learned everything about relationship, how to talk to employees, how to plan a schedule, how to give more than what was required. I learned that from my job. And those skills translated. It took me into management. Management, I learned how to run a business, all right? And then so when I went out on my own, it wasn't as difficult as far as training. I omitted a lot of errors because I learned that on somebody else's job. It's literally on-job training. I get paid for that. So don't be so quick to say, oh, I found my passion, I'm gonna quit my job. You don't want to do that too quick. The second reason why you don't want to do that too quickly is because how are you financing your business? Remember, this podcast, this show is about being financially responsible. All right. So a lot of people make the mistake of starting too soon. They just say, hey, I got an idea, I got a little bit of money, and I'm just going to go start. Don't do that, because you're going to be your first investor. Now, some people are fortunate and their family backs them, or, there might be an investor that they run across. But the average person does not have an investor. The average person doesn't have any investments, right? So you're literally starting from ground zero. So take money from your job, from the income that you already have, and start buying things that you need for a business. So what are some of those things? Well, it depends on what kind of business are you having. Is it a product-based business or a service? All right, so if it's a service-based business, typically those are, they don't have as much overhead because you are essentially the product. But you still got to form your corporation. So LLCs aren't free. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for your local municipality business license. Do you already have a laptop, or do you need to buy one? You got to pay for a domain name. You got to host your website, somebody to build your website, logos. See how all these things keep adding up? This is something that you can do over time while you're still working for the man, right? So every paycheck you can say, I'm going to take this out and I'm going to get my logo done this week. Or I'm going to get somebody to write my copy this week. Or next month, I'm going to start looking into marketing and figuring out how much ads are. How much money can I put aside to start running ads so that when I do quit, I already have marketing going. Because marketing, for the most part, is where the bulk of your money comes in. If you're running a product-based business, you already know you about to pay. Because you got to have inventory. You got to have inventory. You cannot run a product-based business and don't have your inventory. That is why most people fail who try to start a boutique, right? They get an idea. They just go out, buy a little bit of something. They have the overhead of the building, lights, all that stuff that come with the building, right? Plus inventory. So if you quit your job, how are you financing that? And I definitely don't want to hear y'all say on the credit card, because we're talking about being financially responsible. Although I do know a lot of people who started their business on a credit card, but I also know a lot of people whose business failed because they started on a credit card, had no other income coming in, so therefore they couldn't even pay the debt. So that was in default, and credit's getting a shot. So do you see that cycle, right? Because when we have poor management skills in our personal life, they roll over into our business, and that's what we're not going to do. We're not going to do it. Now, I'm not shaming anybody if that's what you have done, because if you don't know any better, you don't know any better. You know, you do what makes sense in that time. But now that we're gaining knowledge, when you know better, you do better. So thank God there are ways that we can fix that, right? If you defaulted on some things, we can get your credit repaired. It's not the end of the world. But for those who haven't gone that route yet, don't go that way. Let's stick to our 9 to 5 or whatever hours you're working for the man. Stick with the man. The man is your friend right now. You'll know when it's time to quit your job. When your side hustle or your business begins to match your salary or exceed your salary, that's when you give your 2-week notice. That's when you say, okay, I can handle this. I can do it now. All right, so we're not going to put the buggy before the horse. We're not going to run before we walk, because we get excited and we get zealous. I know, been there, done that. That's what I'm telling you from experience. It is the worst situation you could put yourself in, to have household bills, business bills, and you only relying on your business because you didn't think it through first. But that's all right. I took a hit, so you don't have to. I took a lot of hits, y'all. That's the whole point of this podcast, because I done messed up every single way that you could think of. So I'm going to show you what not to do. Because remember I said, if you can learn from my mistakes, you can go further faster. And that's really what I want to see people do. That is the sign of a true leader. When the people who you're helping go further than you, that means I did my job. So go back to work. Go back to work with a smile on your face. Go back to work with questions. Go back to work with a clipboard or some notes in your phone that say, let me figure out how to do this. How do they do inventory here? You know, how do we create our schedules? How do we handle disciplinary actions? That's something a lot of people don't know. But when you get to the point and you start hiring people, you're going to find out. You're going to find out real quick how to hire, how to fire. I'm going to tell y'all a story about the first time I had to fire somebody, but not on this episode. I'm going to tell y'all that later when we talk about personnel. But it's a trip. Anyway, that's my tip for the day. Keep your day job, all right? You'll know when it's time to quit, but right now, that's not it if your side hustle has not yet met or exceeded your current salary. All right, y'all. Tune in next Monday for the next podcast. Stay lit.